TV.
To make sure everyone knows that I'm the first one.
Yo, yo, yo. We are live.
Hello.
What's up, everybody streaming on in here? Let's see who's here. Anybody around? What's everybody doing today? Yeah, it's quiet today.
It's quiet. It's Monday.
Usually have those people show up and say they're the first ones.
That was me.
I mean, besides
That was me.
you.
I was the first one. Ooh,
All
man,
right.
I'll tell you, it's crazy what like 2 degrees will do for my office. Like, it
For your
wasn't
mood. Not yours
Well, no.
personally, but I mean everybody's mood.
right.
You know?
It was 69 degrees in my office, so I turned it up to 71, and now I'm hot.
I just
Split the
love
difference, put it on 70.
when the temperature goes down finally in Texas, just a little
I know.
bit. It's like everybody's mood is instantly better.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
nice.
didn't know you guys were in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I used to live there until 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Where at?
We're at.
In Houston, yeah.
nice.
Everyone lives in Houston.
Yeah.
Everyone has lived in Houston at one point in their life.
Not me.
Not you.
Have you?
Yeah. Have I? No.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Everyone who's ever lived in Texas but moved out of Texas lived in Houston.
Oh, Dan Marino in the chat. What's up, dude?
What's up, man? We need to come down to Mexico and visit you.
Right? All right. It looks like everything's rolling and good to go. So, if everybody's ready, we'll go ahead and start the show.
Really good shoe.
Really good shoe. All right. You ready? You got
Yeah,
that
I'm
phonetic spelling?
No, I'm gonna mess it up, and I'm sorry. I'm gonna try my best. All right.
You gonna
do
practice it once before we start?
No, I'm just gonna
Are you sure?
go for it. Yeah. I'm gonna try my best. Like,
All right.
I can roll my R's okay. You know, we'll see.
All right.
We'll see how I do this.
All right, here we go. What's up and welcome to another Mograph Mocast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt. Joining us today is the super talented Carolina Pereira. Close?
That was
Yeah.
that was close.
All right.
And Mograph is a supplement to our site, mograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site with tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and other Mograph stuff. And on the show, we talk about everything ranging from motion graphics to Cinema 4D, After Effects plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor, or working for the man. You can email us, info@mograph.com. Let us know what you think about the show. Questions, comments, concerns, queries, grievances, artist suggestions, show topic ideas. We're on mograph.com. We're on youtube.com/mograph. We're on some of the other things every once in a while. Just hit us up. If you want to see a schedule, mograph.com/live, you know. But info@mograph.com if you want to suggest somebody to be on the show. If you want to ask us a very noob question, don't be scared to ask. We'll try and answer it. If it's a tough question, we'll send it to an expert.
Yeah.
And then we'll try and answer it. And we'll take all the credit for it.
Yep.
Yeah. So yes, just a couple things before we get into it today. There's not a lot going on this week. Next week is a holiday, by the way. We won't have a show next week. And but the next week after that, Mark is going to be on the show with us because we are going to be heading out for camp, and so we'll have a little powwow show.
It is 2 weeks away. I can't even believe it, man. That has come so fast. I am ready. I feel better now. Like I just bought the last of the supplies that we needed, and you know, just panicking about like flags and advertising and stuff like that. But yeah,
And
I think we're gonna be
misspellings.
good. And misspellings. Gosh.
Whoops.
Nothing. Yeah, I won't. We had a misspelling,
Yeah.
and it was a bad misspelling, and
Well.
we're sorry.
When you misspell Virginia,
And when you misspell Virginia, it can be detrimental.
it wasn't as bad as you're thinking in your head, everybody. But
Yeah.
we gotta be careful with
Anyway.
that one. So we're prepping, we're getting nervous, we're having those dreams where you feel like you forgot something.
Yep.
You know, we're making sure that meals are good, we're making sure our
Yep.
supplies are all in and all of that. And so
Yep.
if you are coming, it would be really great if you tuned in 2 weeks, because if you have questions, it'll be a great time
Yeah.
for us to go over things, or and just to run through the whole thing and let everybody know what to expect. Although you should know what to expect because you've been reading your emails and watching all the videos, right?
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely. You know,
Yeah.
motion designers need to read their emails. Half of
Yeah.
them don't. For those who are curious, though, like, make sure to check your email. We have a camper portal, campmograph.com/portal. In your email, you can find the password to get in. Also, you can join us on our Discord. You know, if you can't find the email and
Yep.
you just want to join us on the Discord, hit me up. I'll give you a Discord link, and it's great. It's been awesome. It's so much better to have people on the Discord, the campers on the Discord, because I can just ask a question. Like today, we're gonna send off. We're gonna do some hoodies. We decided at the last minute to do some hoodies, similar to like last year's, you know. And so we're gonna do some hoodies. So I just threw the question up on the Discord, and people are like, "I want one." So we've
Yeah.
had like 40 orders already. It's like, okay,
Much
good.
more responsive.
I don't have to
Yeah.
send out an email and wait for people to not read their email, and then
And it goes in their spam.
goes in their spam.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So sponsors.
Yes. Big shout out to our sponsors. Also, real quick before I get into the sponsors, EJ will be doing his beer tasting
Oh
again.
yes.
Yes.
I'm glad you
him
brought
and I
that
were
up.
talking about it. So, if you want, if you're coming to camp, bring a local beer or something so that people can give it a try. You know, we're gonna be mixing and matching and stuff like
Well,
that.
we won't be
trying
mixing the
out-
beers.
We won't be mixing the beers.
That would be
I don't
gross.
know. It's-
That'd be kind of weird.
You don't know that. It could be delicious.
I don't know.
But yeah, so there'll be we'll have a bartender there serving all the different beers, trying different beers from all around the world. But bring the beers. So
Yeah, bring the beers.
huge shout out to our sponsors. We couldn't have done this event without them. We have so much cool swag that we're
the
giving
swag.
people.
Oh my
The
gosh.
swag. It's gonna be awesome, and I cannot wait for everyone to see it. And we couldn't have done this, and we couldn't have kept tickets so cheap without our awesome sponsors. So big shout out to our global sponsor, Otoy, for sponsoring the entire event, and as well as our village sponsors, Maxon and Video Copilot, and our gold sponsor, Grayscale Gorilla. Huge shout out to all of them. Without them, this wouldn't be possible, or it wouldn't be as cool. Still
And
be
it would-
possible.
It would be a
but
lot
not
more
as cool.
expensive.
It would be a lot more expensive.
That's true.
So,
That's very true. Yes.
huge shout out to them. So it's
Yeah.
going to be a blast. I am so excited.
Yes, it is. And then next week, is it really next week? Is half res?
Next week is half res.
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. Yep.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be heading out Thursday, and
Yes.
the event is Friday. So
event is
if you're gonna
Friday.
be there, come say hi. We are
Mhm.
sponsoring that event,
Yes, we are sponsoring that event.
so we're going to that. So make sure you come say hi. Make sure you go out there. If you
Yeah.
you know been thinking about going, you're on the fence. Get a cheap Southwest flight. Get out
Yep.
there. Get you a ticket. Come say hi.
Yep.
And I mean, even if you're going to camp, we're doing it.
We're doing
You
it.
know, we're doing it.
Clinton Jones is doing it.
That's right. That's right. So, make sure you come say hi. And anything else? Only other thing I wanted to say is how much I just despise After Effects. I just have
Yep.
to just jump. Now, I have been like holding off on updating from AE like 2019 or 2020 for like a long time.
Yeah.
Finally did it because I had to. I had to open a project, open it up. I'm like, okay, this isn't too bad. I start using After Effects, the newest version, and I just don't understand it. Am I the only one that has this problem? If I'm the only one that has the problem, okay, maybe there's something wrong with my computer. But is this really what it's like? Is this really like I'm moving masks around? I'm having and it's crashing. I'm having memory leaks. I did a Twitter post the other day, and I said, I'm going to post on Twitter every time After Effects crashes today.
Mm-hmm.
And I posted
that before, too.
12
Like-
times. I would just say, at Adobe AE crashed over and
At
over.
how many? Over a span of how long?
6 hours.
Oh, that's not too bad. That's
Yeah,
two
only
crashes
twice
an
twice
hour.
an hour.
Yeah.
but we're talking just moving a mask
Those
handle.
are pretty low numbers considering.
Yeah, I'll move a mask handle and the whole thing flashes and disappears, or all my screens will turn black, and like memory leaks, errors. I've tried everything.
Yeah.
I've tried changing the amount of memory. I have tried things like how Windows manages virtual memory, all this stuff. So this is my plea. Either tell me I'm crazy and I'm the only person having this problem, or if somebody knows what is going on, maybe it's a common problem that I haven't heard of. I am begging.
The only thing that I have ever heard from someone is saying that you need to reinstall all your plugins fresh instead of copying and pasting them from one After Effects to another, because that could be causing issues.
I've heard that.
I don't know if it'll work,
maybe,
but it's worth a try.
Well, anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. I won't gripe too long about that, but I can't be the only person having that problem, I feel like, and so I'm pleading for some help. And if there's no solution, I'm pleading Adobe. I'm paying monthly for this. This is what I'm paying for. It doesn't do anything that it didn't do before, trust me. Like, it's not that great. So please fix it or something, like just the basics. We just want the basics to work.
I love, like, a few years ago, it was a while ago actually, like this was probably the CS 6.5, you know, maybe CC1, I don't know, original Creative Cloud. They spent a year just working on stability issues, and you know, that was their big update.
Right.
We worked on stability. It's been crap still.
It was
ever
exactly
since.
the same.
It wasn't, yeah.
But
no.
Anyway,
stability.
Yeah. So let's move on now. Let's talk about you. We love to hear about people's backgrounds, where they came from, you know, how they got into the industry, like what was their learning experience. Did they go to school? Did they not go to school? You know, that kind of thing. So start us from the beginning, and I guess for those who don't know, you are a ZBrush artist and an amazing one at that.
Anna is one of the most, if not the most, amazing ZBrush artists I have ever seen. And like, what I loved about your NAB presentation is that while I was there, you know, I saw Z-Paul do all his ZBrush stuff, and he made it look very difficult. But watching you and your presentation, it's like, okay, this is accessible. I can do this. You know?
Oh, thank you so much. That is so kind of you to say. Exactly what I aim for when I'm doing presentations too.
Yep.
So as far as background, I guess we have to start with the fact that one day I was born.
Yeah.
It was a complete shock.
To use ZBrush, you must first invent the universe.
Right.
Yes.
So I am I'm from Brazil, Rio specifically. I've lived in 4 countries, lived here for like 10 years now in the United States. I came here to do college. So whenever I was younger, I really liked drawing. So I had a very strong grasp on the fundamentals, and I wanted to be a concept artist.
Oh, cool.
And I went to college. So I did go to college, and I have a bachelor's in game art and design. I thought that way I could learn how to do concept art for games, because that sounded really cool. In fact, one of my first dreams of a career ever was to be the person who created the assets for The Sims and wrote the jokes that go along with them.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
You know? But in that college, I learned a little bit of programming, which I hated, and then I learned a lot of 3ds Max and things like that, which I hated more. Until one day, I took a character sculpting course. And that was in ZBrush, and it was a 4-hour-long class, the very first one. And I swear to you, I came out of there and I was like, rip up my notebook, rip up my sketchbooks, I'm doing this now. You know,
awesome.
that was it. Like, that was a pivotal point. So from there on, I started practicing character arts in ZBrush, started learning the software, learning the processes, still with a high focus on game developments though, because that is my main area of occupation, games and VR. Which honestly has a lot of crossover. It's basically the same thing, just different medium, different hardware. And then, right after I graduated, I had a lot of rush to get my first job. I was here on a student visa. I had to get a job right away. So I did some research and I found out that in the games industry in particular, there was this position called the technical artist.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys know that much about that. Nobody does, honestly. It's like a very cryptic thing.
Sure.
Because technical arts can mean just about anything at any company. Like there could be two technical artists in the same team doing two different things, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
So I decided to become a technical artist to have a better chance at a career. And I started learning on my own with like Udemy courses how to program, use Unreal, which is my main software actually. So I'm known online for doing ZBrush, but actually my whole career is Unreal based.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. So I became a technical artist right away. I got a job at a VR company, working for a ton of projects. I think I have like over 20 shipped VR projects now,
Wow.
including for the Air Force, companies like that you never expect, like MasterCard,
Okay.
and things like that. And eventually I moved through the pipeline so that I can create an entire game on my own, all of the project management, code,
Jeez.
level design, 3D arts, all of that stuff. So I'm pretty generalistic, if I
The
would say
code,
so.
really?
Yeah, I do the code. In fact, I teach it, and that's what I'm going to be teaching once I get out of here at the college.
Ah,
Wow.
nice.
So
Yeah.
you went, but you said you didn't like the code. So did you find maybe a type of code that you liked more than another one, or?
I liked it after I had many years to get used to it.
Okay.
Honestly, I think
Okay.
I was missing the fundamentals, and once I got those, like, I swear I got out of college without knowing what a variable was.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
And
I took a couple of programming classes and I felt the exact same way. It's like plus my teachers, they all had really heavy accents, so it's like I've got a ADD brain, and so like it was really hard for me to focus and try and learn at the same time, but yeah, I totally I'm with you. I took like 3 classes and it's like, oh, what's a variable?
yeah,
Yeah.
you can't work without the fundamentals in any
Right.
category, right?
Mhm.
Which is why I try to make things so easy to understand and like kind of dumb them down. Because if you don't get that, you can't get any of the rest, right?
Right.
Uh-huh.
I learned that when I got into a German high school and they didn't have any beginner German lessons, only advanced. And to this day, I don't know how to speak German, even though I spent 4 years in German high school. You know? So I became a technical artist, VR developer, pushing that with my career, but I never forgot that love that I had for that character arts, right?
Mhm.
And I was sitting there and I kept trying to practice on my own at night when I get back from work, but I was too busy learning technical arts, or I was just so tired and I had no accountability system, right? I need external accountability, which I always say is not necessarily a bad thing. And I
Mhm.
couldn't decide how to make it work. And I was falling behind all of the other folks that went like from college, for example, that went straight for character art. They were all starting to outlevel me, and I felt really bad. And I wasn't allowed to get freelance or anything like that. So what I did was I brainstormed, and one day I found out that Twitch was a thing, and I used to think it was a news broadcasting
Right.
site.
Right.
And I was like, why can't I just stream this like at a certain schedule? And then by knowing that people are going to watch me, I have to be there and I have to do it. So I
Yeah.
started,
Okay.
yeah. So that's how my streaming of ZBrush career began.
So funny.
Uh-huh. So it was simultaneous. So at night I would do character art in ZBrush, and then during the day I would do my normal tech art VR
Mhm.
development career. And the
Why'd you choose
ZBrush thing started
ZBrush?
taking off.
Why'd
taking
you
off.
choose to do ZBrush stuff instead of the stuff that you were doing just 9 to 5?
Oh, because I was still in love with that, and
Yeah.
I needed to be able to practice. And
Okay.
otherwise, I would lose it, and it would just be a distant memory when I'm in my
Gotcha.
50s. Like, I remember that time I wanted that whole career. So I started multi-careering it.
Okay.
So it was like
No.
it was practice live, essentially.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Practice
Okay.
live. And eventually, naturally, it evolved into teaching live because, like, you're there, people are starting to look up to you, they ask you questions, and it just naturally snowballs into that.
Mhm.
And unknowingly, I started charting a new career of being a teacher
Mhm.
or an educator in some way. which I had promised myself in middle school that I would never do. I was like, I would never be a teacher. It's just not for me. And I still remember that. And so I kept pushing and pushing. I got picked up by ZBrush Live very early on my Twitch career. You know, and I started streaming for them twice a month. That helped a lot because of so much more professional environments, you know. Nowadays I do it every Sunday. So it's been 4 years since I've been doing that.
Wow.
And
consistency is key.
Yeah,
100% consistency is key.
Yeah,
you know,
for
that's
sure.
why we're on episode 340 of this dang podcast.
Oh,
It really is.
yeah.
It really is.
It's-
Yeah, there's
yeah.
no trick.
It's tough though. It's tough to maintain that. You know, it's like a daily. It's like doing dailies. You know.
I take breaks. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really do. Like I always feel so guilty, but sometimes I'll burn out from it, and I'll be like, okay, I'll
100%.
see you all in 6 months.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the very first time I took the break, I didn't want to, but when I came back, my stream doubled automatically on its own,
Wow.
Oh, interesting.
just because I felt better. You know,
Right.
like I got twice as many watchers, and I was just being more fun and personable. You know, so it does help to take breaks, but in between the breaks, I'm very consistent, right? Like
Right.
every day I'm there. Like if it's scheduled, I'm there.
Right.
You know, which is super super important. And I try to tell. I still have a mentorship program on my own, and I tell my mentees, I'm like, hey, you should put this on Patreon, and they're like, well, and it's easy for you to say. You have a following. I don't, and I'm like, you don't understand. I didn't, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you can't just one day wake up and have a following.
Right.
Like, I
Right.
was a literal nobody, struggling with my visa, like, trying to decide if I was going to go into Tech Heart, you know, in Houston, Texas. You know? And then I just started posting, and then little by little and little by little, like,
Yeah.
increments of, like, 0.0001% every week, you know, it builds up.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm a technical artist as well. People look at my
So am
art
I.
and they look at my art and they say, I guess technically he's an artist. So, yeah.
And my
Yeah.
stupid bell. It's
You need a
still
better
dumb.
bell.
I
You
need-
need to fix
I
your
know. That's what I get for getting a bell from Disney World. All right.
I'm going to steal that joke.
Yeah.
You have my permission, 100%. Oh, so you do the streaming. Now, I followed your NAB presentation. The first thing Matt and I both did was buy Cintiqs and say
Cintiqs.
we're gonna become ZBrush artists, which I've put about a whole day into so far.
Right.
Same. But no, I actually really like having the Cintiq, and I'm trying to learn. Here's my issue is, as you know, ZBrush is a little bit different than some other programs, right? So you have to get used to the commands. You got to get used to the the shortcuts and all of the things. So when I do get a chance to sit down, like I watched yours and I think it was great because you were like, okay, hit this button and this is why it does this, and like Matt said, it was very easy to
Everything is
understand.
in alphabetical order.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, it's all in alphabetical order.
Yeah. So do you have a resource? Because I know a lot of people that listen to the show are, either 2D designers or they're Cinema 4D artists who are doing like, probably a little less of the ZBrush organic type stuff. Do you have a particular resource that you like to send people to? For like learning those shortcuts. For me, that's the hardest part, is like remembering them and then coming back and like, it's been a month. I sit down, I'm trying to learn and I know how it is. You got to just keep doing it. But do you have like a go-to resource that you send people to, like besides maybe just like a manual, like?
So they have. So right now I'm working a project with Maxon that's going to help.
Oh,
That's all I'll say
all
about
right.
that.
Sweet.
That being said, they do have a series of short videos, like a tremendous series of short videos, like hundreds of them, about every topic, called Z Classroom.
Okay.
and it's maintained by them. It's on their YouTube and also Cineversity and also like the official sites. And it's just like short to the point videos that might remind you of like how the UI is set up, how to get through the brushes, things like that. I have always been sending people to that site because it's the best, you know, like they don't, you know, mess around, they don't make jokes, it's just direct, you know. Which is how I like it.
Right, same.
What is the button? What is the brushes button? Is it
B?
Is it B?
Right.
Okay.
B, and then you choose whatever brush you want by
right.
hitting another letter.
Another letter. And see, that's the kind of thing. It's like I remember it in the session. I sit down and I remember it, and then when I come back, I don't remember it. I need a cheat sheet or something, and eventually I'll remember it. But you know,
I make that for my students. Like I just make a little paper. You know, that's a good idea. I should just make one and put it on the internet.
Yes, you should.
Yes.
Yeah.
The cheat sheet for sure.
I already have them, so I might as well.
Yeah. Because when I've used it, I've really enjoyed it. I have a piece right now that I'm working on, and here's the problem: like, if I sit down and I do have a couple hours to work on a daily, it's kind of a matter of like, I know how to use Cinema 4D, so I'm gonna get in Cinema 4D and I'm gonna do the thing I want to do. Right.
Right.
If you're doing something that's off the beaten path for, you know, yourself and your particular situation, in my situation that's ZBrush, I go over to ZBrush and I'm like, do I want to do that today or do I want to finish a daily? Because I want to learn it, but I also want to finish a daily. And I'm like, am I in the mood to sit there and try and remember all of these shortcuts? So something like that would be really great because, I don't know, I just have a block and it's really weird. As soon as I do something, and Matt can attest to this, like upgrading to like R25 or whatever it was at the time, just like wasn't doing it because I didn't want to upgrade things. And once I did it, I was like, you know, so that would be great to have something like that. Have
you used any other sculpting apps like Forger or even the sculpting in C4D or anything like that?
Yeah, I have. I have used multiple in VR.
Oh, okay.
Like a ton. There's Oculus. No, the Medium. I think that's Adobe now.
Yeah.
There is a bunch whose names are totally escaping me right now.
That's okay.
I have used those. I'm not Blender, but definitely Sculptress and also Mudbox as well.
Mudbox,
yeah. But first VR, that makes your shoulders hurt. Like if you're just like lifting your hands, you know. I personally don't like it. Plus, it introduces a new axis for you to have to worry about when you're doing your brush stroke, which is like the depth, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which, you know, in ZBrush, you just click on the thing and it's just gonna get the nearest depth to you, kind of thing. That pixel, right? So that's something else to worry about. Plus pain. Physical exercise for prolonged hours.
I know Dave would always sit back in his lounge chair, you know, and sculpt. Like,
oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
Back. Yeah.
That's smart. Yeah.
Have you ever combined them? Like, have you ever done something like VR and then move over to ZBrush?
I have, yeah. Almost always, because I can't get myself personally, I can't get the quality that I'm looking for in the VR ones.
Well, for
So
sure,
I'll
you
just
want to
finish it off, yeah.
Put it in that Z-remesher, you know, let it do its thing. Oh man, I love Z-remesher. I've used it so much lately, and it's just so clean. Yeah.
Sculptress for me. Oh, dude, when you introduced me to Sculptress, it's like I need this in every program. You know.
It's quite special. Whenever they came out with that, I literally didn't use anything else for about 2 years. So I understand 100%.
For those who don't know, Sculptress, it's like a mode in ZBrush, correct? And so like as you're pulling and pushing and stuff, it will create new geometry. And instead of like stretching everything and making it weird, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's just like literally updates before your very eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so cool.
So what kind of projects are you working on?
Gosh, what
That
am
you
I
can
not
talk about.
working
That you
on?
can talk
I am
about,
so
yeah.
stressed out right now. So right now I'm working only on educational-based projects.
Okay.
In fact, I used to do a lot of freelance, but last year, after I started my own business, just doing, mentorships and things like that, I was like, no more. We're pausing. We're going to now just do like as many educational things as possible, partnerships. Like right now, I'm working with Wacom to do a
Cool.
stream marathon, and they're gonna give some people that participate some tablets and a
Nice.
Cintiq, which is gonna
Cool.
be exciting. Um, and just like personal things, you know.
Mhm.
And of course, big educational projects that I can't speak of right now.
Right. Sure.
Right now, I only ever take very tiny art projects right now.
Mhm.
Like if I know I can squeeze like this project into 2 hours, basically,
Okay.
I'll take it. If not,
Gotcha.
I'll pass it on to somebody else.
What's been your favorite thing to work on?
Mhm.
Well, like doing a nice, stressful VR game is always gonna have a space in my heart.
Mhm.
You know,
Nice, stressful.
If I could tell you all the stories later.
Mhm.
It's that code,
Um,
right? It's the code.
It's everything. Like every aspect of it can be stressful. That's for sure.
I always thought it would be fun
Um,
to do, but yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like a lot of work.
Um, so that always has a special place in my heart. And actually, once I am ready to go back to freelance, I would like to do that instead of like character art for a
Mhm.
while, just to like resharpen as well. You know.
Mhm.
My favorite types of projects, yeah, I'd have to say that. Or some sort of like technical exploration where for many years, since I was doing the dual thing, I would try to think of projects that were both technical and character art related
Okay.
and mix them together. So, for example, this was before MetaHuman and like all these NFTs and stuff. So I made a cat generator that
Oh.
Unreal that could generate like up to 88,000 unique cats or something like that.
Nice.
Mhm.
And you just click the randomize button or like customize it, you know.
Okay.
Or this like super very difficult to make character that had like you could use mocap with the iPhone and her face would move like your face, and she had like updating normal maps for like the wrinkles of the forehead and
Oh,
things
wow.
like that.
Wow.
So I really enjoyed those projects as well. Although I took a really long time to post that one on the internet,
Mhm.
and by the time I was ready to, MetaHuman had come out with Unreal that did all those things automatically.
Right.
No, if I had one regret in life,
Yeah.
Thanks, Epic.
it's no longer impressive. All that
Right.
work was so much work.
That's funny.
Now, when you use ZBrush, the thing that I knew a lot of people used tablets and whatnot, but when we were at NAB and talking to everybody, everybody who was into ZBrush seemed to say, okay, you must use a pen in order for this and a tablet for this to really
Yep.
work the way it needs to work, because it's the pressure sensitive part, which I understand. So what kind of device do you use actually? Are you on a Cintiq or?
I actually have two right here. I have my go-to is my Wacom Intuos tablet.
Okay.
And then my fancy one is my Wacom Cintiq Pro that Wacom sent me.
Oh, that's nice.
The Pro.
Yeah,
Is that
I
the
know.
4K one too? I couldn't afford the 4K one.
Yeah.
It was very generous of them. So I switch between the two. I love both of them. For the longest time, I was a strict tablet user. And I had a Cintiq companion that was like, it's like the laptop version. So like it has like its own contained laptop inside, and the screen
yeah.
itself is Cintiq.
Right.
That was cool for like on the airplane, airport.
Right.
You know, people would be like, "Oh my God, I've never seen something like that at the airport."
Yeah,
I'm, like,
and
trying to make art.
that's something that like I would love. I mean, I don't know if I know it's early in the game with ZBrush and Maxon right now, but oh my gosh, if they had like something that was like the portable version of ZBrush. I know there's Forger, but like if they had like something where you could on the go update, because sometimes I like really wish I could take the Cintiq like in the living room or something and go sit somewhere else rather than, I mean, it's got to be hooked up to all these desktop computers in here, you know.
Yeah.
But what is the difference? So you've got those two, and like, is there a time when you're like, oh, I need to do this on the Cintiq as opposed to the what's the other tablet called? Intuos?
Intuos.
Yeah.
There's no real reason to switch. One just makes me feel glamorous, and the other one makes me feel practical. You know.
I did a pen for a while, and you know, it makes sense, and but when I'm doing stuff in Cinema, I'm like, I don't really know. Sometimes it's too hard to click on things in Cinema with a pen, but
Yeah.
when you're using a Cintiq, you have the pen on the object, and I didn't know, you know, because you're touching the object. Do you feel a difference between that? Like, so you don't prefer one or the other, or?
I don't. This is very personal. Like, you know, the only recommendation I have for anybody is like to try the one that you want to buy before you buy it. You know, because it's super personal. Some people, they just can't have that mind pen connection without looking at their hand.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And trust me, I didn't buy that. I was like, just practice. It's like the mouse, right? You don't have to look at the mouse to use it.
Right.
But, you know, after seeing enough people struggle with it, I'm like, okay, maybe their experience is different than mine. So for some people, it's much easier to make the connection looking straight at the Cintiq. But for some people, the Cintiq isn't quite as good because it requires different posture.
Right.
And also your hand goes in front of the tablet. Yeah.
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 So it's really like, it's a tiny difference in my opinion, but it's enough. You know, it's all about comfort. So everybody kind of thinks that the tablet without the screen is worse than the tablet with the screen, probably for like, because the other one's expensive and, you know, things like that. But it's really like you can get everything done without the screen, and you can get everything done with the screen, you know.
Yeah. What do you do about
when
the
we were
posture?
at NAB? When we were at NAB, you know, all the artists were using the screen, but they also had the exact same thing on the screen, so they could do it either way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the posture thing is what I'm curious about, because I've got mine set up over here. I have to go to another area of the room and set up, you know, I even put one of those little arm support things on the desk, you know. So how do you do the tablet? Do you have it like at an extreme angle so it's almost flat? Because I'm trying to figure out like what is the best way to do this. Like maybe my setup isn't correct, you know.
So when I do the flat tablet, I just put it in front of my keyboard. And I've just gotten used to having one hand further forward and one hand further back. If I do the screen tablet, I put it to my right, and I have my right arm out, like on the elbow goes on my armrest, and I do it I try to keep it's at an angle because that makes it easier from that posture if I put it far on the right, and then the keyboard goes right in front of me. So I keep the keyboard in the same spot. But I've seen a ton of people with way more advanced setups for this. You know, I've seen people that put their display tablet right on the edge of the table right in front of them, and then they have like an extra little drawer right underneath the table that slides out a keyboard right on their lap, basically. That looked interesting. I would be willing to try that. Like, I have it saved to my Pinterest board. Because I was like, okay, like that's a new way to do things. Yeah, I just try to like keep my stuff as simple as possible so I don't have to worry about it, you know. I don't like moving technology around and things like that.
Yeah, that's why I have mine set up like permanent over there, because I know I'm not going to drag it out every time I'm going to use it. And I know it sounds real nitpicky, but like to me, like being comfortable in your setup is really important, because if it's uncomfortable to go do that, if it's uncomfortable for me to go over there and sit at that area, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to want to do it, you know. So I'm trying to make sure that I
gotta move my legs
like a sucker. Yeah.
Sucker.
So
super understandable.
after the shortcuts, you know, learning the shortcuts and everything, what would you say like the next hurdle is if you're learning ZBrush for the first time? Like what would be the plan of attack for somebody who's just getting started? They're learning the shortcuts. Okay, they're good. They're kind of getting used to that. But like, is it like going and doing fundamentals? I know practice, but what would be the next step?
So the tricky thing is that you need to learn both how to use the tool and then how to use the tool to make something nice, right?
Right.
So those are totally two different things, in my opinion. The tool is just enabling it. So the way I teach it is that I like to make the ZBrush part as simple as humanly possible. You know, like whenever I'm teaching beginner lessons or that one tutorial I made, it's just like 5 things, right, that you use over and over again. After that, I think the plan of attack would be to make very short projects that are forgiving. So for example, instead of doing like a human head, a likeness of, you know, some actor, you're gonna do a foot or an alien, a skull, something like that. The more mythical it is, actually, the more forgiving it is.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
With crazy alien heads. Yeah. You can do whatever you want.
And so that's what I recommend. Short projects that you can finish in like 1 or 2 days, and you can work through the entire pipeline, because the entire pipeline has different obstacles and things to learn, you know, all the way out to rendering and taking the final render and then starting over, you know, so like quick things. Everybody wants to make a full God of War Kratos on their first go.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's similar to like modeling. Like if you're like a box model, people want to make a car. Oh, let's make the Batmobile.
Oh,
okay,
geez.
but do you know how to model the Batmobile?
Yeah.
Nah, that's just gonna be the first. No, start with like a hammer, you know, and then work your way up to a car. But yeah.
A lot of people learn that lesson the hard way.
Yep.
So, and it's okay. As a teacher, I've learned to step back and let it happen. You know?
And how do you know like which things to learn? I was in cinema this weekend and I had kind of a, not an issue, but it was just like I needed a solution for something that I was working on, and it was easy for me because I'm used to Cinema 4D to be like, oh, I know what I need. I need this tag and I need to put this thing on it, and then and that'll do what I want it to do. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, if I was new to Cinema 4D, I would have no idea where to start to do that thing. And the same applies to any software. So like when I'm sitting in ZBrush, I'm wondering, and I like to say I hit the brush button, right? And I see all those brushes and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many brushes. I don't know what they do or which ones are important. And I'm like, I bet you there's like 10 of these that are the top 10.
Yeah.
And then a bunch maybe that other people don't use. What's the best way to go about like figuring out, okay, what components should I really learn first and then maybe start learning the other stuff?
Very common issue. Yeah, totally. So if you're self-learning, I always recommend like, hey, don't make it too hard on yourself. Like pick one tutorial, doesn't matter which one, and just do those things. Does that make sense? And then when you're done with that, pick another tutorial that's different and do those things, and eventually you're going to find the stuff that you like. Because it's overwhelming if you try to figure out everything, you know. And there is nowhere you can go on the internet that will tell you the right information for that. It's like what's the top 10 most important, because it's it's subjective, right?
I really enjoy, I don't know if you do this or if you did this in the beginning, but when I started sculpting a few years ago, I really enjoyed watching the process, you know, and watching like a time lapse of someone doing something, because I felt like I was able to take in so much more information as far as what they were doing very quickly, you know, or learn certain techniques by watching them sculpt. Does that make sense?
I enjoy that too. I think that's why streaming is even a thing, like for ZBrush, you know? Although I do have a little bit of a bad feeling whenever I think of that, because back when I was trying to learn, there wasn't as many people showing their process online in a nice way. Everybody was like, how to sculpt a dinosaur, and you'd be like, score, click on it, and it's just a super fast time lapse.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sculpting a dinosaur.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I've been bamboozled, so I'm here like rewind. What do they do? Rewind.
Yeah.
Things like
Yeah.
that. That's kind of how I learned ZBrush. The hard way.
I guess that can make sense. That makes sense. Because if you're really trying to get down to the nitty gritty of it, a normal tutorial or something would be a lot better than watching a time lapse.
Right.
But for me, it's like I didn't have this background, at all. So it's like for me watching some of these fast time lapse and stuff give me a little bit of the fundamentals,
Kind of an idea
of
Yeah.
how like the jaw is shaped or where you need to add definition, and stuff like that. I don't know.
No, totally. I see that my TikToks are being shown, which is like
Yeah.
a great example of that because they're just tiny snippets of me doing quick things.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people ask me questions. They're like, "How did you do this one thing?" And then I'll like make an extra TikTok about it or something like that.
Does it
So,
use
yeah,
the audio? How does this
Turn to
into
this.
I
To
do
this.
have one that has that.
Yeah. You got to
love
follow
it.
the trends, right?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. It worked for a while. I think Instagram did shadow ban my account though. So
Oh,
that's
face.
funny.
yeah. But yeah, I love doing these little videos. Although I will tell you a secret now.
Mhm.
A lot of the sculpting on these videos is like totally fake and not the same way I did it
Right.
for real.
Really?
So like I'll record like a better like a cuter
Right.
version for Instagram.
Gotcha.
It's like when Shams shows off her work by putting it into Procreate and just
right, and just
brushing
changing
over
from
it
black and white. Yeah.
to color. Yeah. Yeah. It's the same concept.
Gotta get the views.
Right,
Right?
exactly. What about you obviously you do a lot of faces and things. Are there like fundamentals or sites you can go to reference to learn how to do some of this stuff? Because I feel like I need to know more about sculpting in order to do a face.
Yeah, or
like,
anatomy. Like
Right, exactly.
How much anatomy have you studied in order to make sure that you're getting all the features correct?
So I don't have a particular resource.
Mhm.
Every time I find something good, I save it, and then
Mhm.
I built my own library. In fact, like for my mentees and the people that take my workshop every week, they can see my favorites. I literally have Anna's favorite anatomical references, hearts. Here's the links. My assistant really likes putting emojis on everything.
Nice.
So I really like using 3D scans. There are
Okay.
tons of sites online that you can find people like bodybuilders, models, old ladies that have been 3D scanned, and you can literally like zoom in and see at every angle.
Okay.
So that's like really good for anatomical resources because I like those because everything looks really natural. I'm gonna tell you something like one of my pet peeves is that everybody that teaches anatomy and learns anatomy does so with like these very strict rules, like the body is 8 heads tall, things like that.
Right.
And it's always the body of a man, very specific man, a very specific age. Like it's like man in his 40s, Caucasian, and that's it. And that's
me.
anatomy learned.
I'm the average man.
Yeah, the average man. It's always like that, and you learn the rules of like the man has one eye between
Right.
both eyeballs, and I think it creates people that are too dependent on rules and things like that,
Right.
and can only make the same face over and over again. There's teachers on the internet that just make the same face over and over again.
Yeah.
So I don't like depending on that too much, but there's a ton of books and things that I buy. In fact, I need to get a sponsorship from Anatomy for Sculptors because like I think I've brought them a ton of customers over the years.
I have seen that ad probably because I started following you. I've seen that ad so many times and have been this close to buying it every time.
It's worth it.
Okay.
Sponsorship
Now that you said
aside.
it. All right,
Damn it.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Wait until I get an affiliate link. I'm gonna email them.
Yeah.
right now.
All right, cool.
So they are the best. You should see. Look, this one's mine right here. The people in the podcast can't see, but it's literally torn apart.
Oh,
Like
wow.
there's pages falling
Yeah.
out of it.
So
it's
it's
out of
good.
order and everything.
Yeah.
And so it's the best book because it breaks down everything into like really dumb little shapes, and that's what I
Okay.
need, and that's the best. It's easy peasy. So it's more like diagrams. the scans. There's a ton of good websites online for that stuff.
Yeah, Matt in the chat says Classic Human Anatomy in Motion by Valerie Winslow was also a huge help for him. We haven't seen you in a while, Matthew Hinman.
I saw him the other day. You weren't
on the
you
Discords.
were at ZBrush. Yeah.
Oh,
You were at ZBrush.
Yeah.
Anna, you have your own Discord channel, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Anna's art community.
Let me see. I forgot what. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It used to be called
I'm on.
Anna's Art Fam, and
Mhm.
everybody thought it said Anna's Art Farm. So for
Oh.
like
Oh.
last time, people thought they were in my farm.
That's funny.
Uh-huh.
And you were
That is-
mentioning something about a possible podcast or something before the show when we were talking. Is that something we can talk about, I hope?
Yeah, of course. I would love to talk about that actually.
Mhm.
So last Thursday, I may or may not have had 1 or 2 glasses of wine. And decided to take to Twitter on a complete whim. And I said,
Mhm.
who wants to start a podcast with me?
Mhm.
And I kid you not, 90 people or so volunteered to do a
Mhm.
podcast with me. Not some
Wow.
of them thought it was just one episode, so like not everybody wants to co-host, but like
Right.
a lot of people want to co-host.
Yeah.
And now I'm going through and I'm trying to find people, and I'm like, I have some calls scheduled this week, and I call them like, do we have chemistry? Let's find out in this call.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
because I don't know a lot of these people, but they all
And
bring
you also
some
gotta
interesting things
find
to
out
the
if they're
table.
you got to find out if they're like responsible enough to do a weekly podcast or something like that. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But
Yeah.
It's a huge thing.
I've been streaming for 4 years, and every once in a while I need to take breaks, like we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And I feel one coming on. I'm a little tired. And the streaming, it takes on so much. You have to do the arts, read chats, respond. Before you respond, you have to read it in your mind to make sure that it's not inappropriate.
Right.
Or something like that. You have to come up with like thoughtful answers, and not just that, but I do it in 2 languages at the same time. Like I don't translate everything, but like I answer English and Portuguese, and
Wow.
I run conversations simultaneously, right? So it's a lot, and you have to keep people entertained.
Right.
It's pressure. So I was thinking, like, would it be cool if I could get with some people and like maybe I'll drink another glass of wine and talk
Yeah.
about no arts, just talk about things that are relevant,
Mhm.
right? Like, and that sounds really appealing, actually. You guys run a podcast. You can tell me all
Yeah.
about. Maybe
Yeah,
later.
most people get drink a couple glasses of wine and go Amazon shopping like me. You're doing an entire podcast, so
Yeah.
It just sounds really nice, and it's time to change things up too. I think like the streaming is no longer bringing back as many dividends as it used to.
Mhm.
Were you making
No.
a lot of money off of the Twitch streaming and stuff?
At some points, I did.
Mhm.
But ironically, when my stream was much, much smaller than it is, like back when I was hitting like 25 people watching at a time, I used to make way more money.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's a thing that happens. Like every stream phase has like a community aspect, and the bigger you get, for some reason you like disconnect with the individual watcher a little bit more because there's so many,
Right.
and then they might stop like wanting to support you as much. I don't know exactly where the line was.
Yeah.
But also like it's okay. I don't do it for the money at all.
Right.
And so it's more like I'm not getting new followers from it and things like that. So I think that a podcast would bring a ton of value to the people that already watch my stream. So they would probably still watch the podcast, and it'd be something new, change it up,
Right.
and it would probably bring new people in too. And that way it's a win-win.
Yeah.
And I get to rest a bit because I'm a little tired.
Yeah. It is weird getting that line because you start off and no one's watching.
Yeah.
And then you get like 2 people watching, and then you're very grateful for those 2 people that like to watch. And then it becomes a thing. And then you might add sponsorships, and then you're like, you've got to worry about, making the sponsors happy, and then it becomes like a corporate-y thing, and then it's like, wait a
It
minute.
becomes a job.
It
and
becomes
it's
a job,
Like, wait
right,
a second, I've got
right.
another job.
Right.
So now I have 2 jobs.
And so it's kind of like you got to use a show or a podcast or a stream or a TikTok or whatever it is to kind of like supplement your brand, I guess. Rather than thinking it's going to be because the kids these days, they think they're all going to grow up and become a YouTuber, and it's only part of it.
That's what my kid wants to be a YouTuber so bad. I'm like, okay, so start shooting some stuff. Here's all the stuff for it.
Right.
It's like, I don't have any ideas. It's like, all right, I will show you what to do.
Right.
I will give you all the resources to do it. You just have to have the motivation.
Yeah. So how are you gonna select how are you gonna narrow down?
Yeah, are we gonna
who's gonna be?
Let's do a
contest.
A contest, like a podcast got talent podcast.
Yeah, it's a reality show, and you
yeah,
get voted off
right?
and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna make it really like chill, like really, if I could, like maybe have like 4 hosts, and if one
I
can't
like
make
that.
it, we'll continue the podcast anyway.
Yeah,
I like it.
and
it's a good idea.
and make it flexible.
Yeah.
That way I don't have to stress out. Like the last thing I want is more stress. I
Yeah.
stress enough. I pay people to stress for me now, so like there's so much stress around there anyway. So I want this to be a positive thing. I'm gonna choose at least one person that I know already and trust. So that way, like even on the bad days, there might be still one person there.
Right.
And then the other 2 people, I don't know. They're gonna like. I'm hoping to pick somebody that has a very established career that can bring a lot to the table, like with their experience and opinions. Or somebody who's very well connected and can bring in guests.
Right.
Even though we're not lacking for guests already, there's already people lining up. It's insane. And people that maybe are funny and things like that. Like I don't know, I really don't know. Like that's the laundry list. I think it's the wish list. It's funny, interesting, well experienced, well connected is my ideal.
I like the idea of
can
doing
show up.
a group.
Yeah.
I like that.
Almost like a panel, like I don't know, Good Morning America or something, where you have all those people sitting at the desk,
or
and
or like a group playing D&D or something like that.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And we would pull up like news or a new game that came out or something like that, and be like, hey, like how does this look? The expressions are a little weak. Let's talk about packs or something like that.
I love the
with the
gameplay of
idea-
Pokemon Arceus, but the art is awful.
I know. I was so disappointed. I was gonna play
know.
that, but I'm not gonna.
It's an awesome game. Play it.
I know.
It is such a good game.
I just remembered one more thing I want from my
Yes.
ideal candidates. I want them to have different specialties.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
one's VFX, one's like environment art, one's I don't know, like design,
Mhm.
Or like
things
hard
like
surface
that.
modeling as opposed to
Yeah.
Because
Then
I
you
do
throw in
yeah.
a producer as well.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Hopefully somebody who can keep everybody else coming to the show.
Right?
Yeah.
They're the most organized.
Do you know Justin Fields? He presented at Seagraph for Maxon. I don't know if you know who he is or not.
Their name? Can you
Justin
repeat it?
Fields.
Oh, I don't remember. I'm sorry, Justin, if you're watching.
I want to say he won some award for like the world's fastest speed sculptor or something like that. I forget. But he has a whole podcast studio, I think. That's why I thought maybe he would make at least a good guest at some point. Justin Fields.
I would love.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
here I found him.
Yeah. Yeah, he would just go on and just do a random sculpt every day, like as fast as he could. An alien, then we had to name him.
Oh, that's
I think we
nice.
named him Sculpty McSculpt Face or something like that. I don't remember.
That's fine.
But yeah.
Anna, what is your dream project and or job?
Okay, if I could collaborate to any project for the sake of it,
Mm-hmm.
it would be Avatar, like the alien version, James Cameron Avatar.
All right.
Okay. All right.
It's top 10 favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome. I still watch it sometimes. So I'm waiting for the new one. You know,
Mm-hmm.
actively.
I'm assuming
Right. When is
you've
that
been
supposed to? Yeah.
I'm
So
assuming
where?
you've been to
Supposedly
the
ended the year.
Pandora in Disney World.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the actual simulator itself is one of the best ones that I've ever been to
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Yeah.
I have a lecture that has like a breakdown of that one in it, you know, for,
Really?
like all of the immersion and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. I wish I
That
could do a
other
field trip.
ride,
Let's take my
the other
students.
ride that they have there is the worst ride I've ever been on. The little boat
The
one.
boats.
Yeah, it's got the amazing animatronics, but literally that's the only reason you'll ride it.
Bad game design, so
It
we
is,
can talk
yeah.
about that a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Like visuals are on point, but it's boring.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a difference? You know, I didn't realize like how much awesome like hard surface modeling stuff you could do in ZBrush, because I think ZBrush and I automatically think like art station, dragons, aliens, you know, all of that. And I saw some really cool looking stuff. I think it was stuff Paul was showing off. Paul was showing off. Hard surface. Do you feel like those are kind of like two separate fields when it comes to ZBrush, or is it something that you can easily do one or the other?
Honestly, you have to learn them. They're very separate when it comes to actual like technique, and even the tool usage is very different. So I do think you have to learn the two separately. And you can intermingle, like Paul does
Right.
the two, like you never know. Just, you know,
Right.
however
Yeah.
Paul does things. High energy and just fast.
Right.
You know, but yeah, I definitely have to learn the two separately. In my opinion, they're very different to me. A lot of people don't even use ZBrush for hard surface, but when you actually see it in action, you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like that looks so like smooth and
Yeah.
juicy to, in lack of a better word, you know.
Yeah.
It looks fast. It has like all the things that I wish like Maya would do easily, you know. But Maya
Right.
takes like 14 steps to do anything, in my opinion. You know. So yeah, I actually don't use it very much. I've been meaning to like make it one of my main parts of my workflow for a while.
Yeah, but if you like, if someone came to you with a project like that, because you're more on the other side, it would probably take a little bit more. That's what I was curious about. Like if you know somebody's considering a career in this, or they're getting more into ZBrush, if it's a better idea to try and focus on one or the other, if that's what you're gonna do, like see what you like, or do you think it's something where you could really be like a master at both, like
Oh,
Paul?
you can be a master at both. After you get over the learning curve of both, I'd say. The choice of which one you learn is more like a big picture career choice. Like, do I want to do more of hard surface, organics, or both? Right? And then you make that choice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we know you have to get to a class, so we're gonna do the Mograph recommend segment so that we get done, so you have enough time to go teach. And what we do is we ask a bunch of questions about some of your favorite things and kind of get an idea of maybe something that influences you in your work. And so we're gonna start with favorite movie, and then like we always say, this can be an all-time or like a recent favorite. It doesn't have to be like what's the best movie ever. It could be like something you really liked this year or whatever.
Is it Avatar? Did you already mention?
Yeah.
Did you
So I know,
Yeah.
like Avatar is top 5.
Okay.
I can't say I've ever chosen a top 1. Like I have top 5.
Okay.
So Avatar for sure, and then there's this other one that nobody's ever heard of called Strange Magic. It's like from Lucasfilm.
Huh.
Okay.
I haven't heard of that.
Strange.
Nobody's
feel
ever
like I-
heard of that movie.
Is it a like a 90s film?
No, it's weirdly recent.
Oh, weird.
Okay.
It's about little fairies and little garden creatures falling in love. Like it's very
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
cute. It's adorable.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
And then all the other ones are like feel good movies, not necessarily artistic. Like I really like movies that motivate me, or you know, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And what about TV
Okay.
shows?
Oh no. Favorite too. So Game of Thrones was my one of my favorites for a very long time. Um, I
Are you are
really
you
enjoyed.
are you critiquing, like, when you see some of these creatures now, like, like the dragon,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
like
It's really hard to suspend disbelief and immerse yourself as a 3D artist, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I just started watching the House of the Dragon one,
Mm-hmm.
and the dragons look so bad. Like, it's like the budget just they look off.
Really?
Yeah. If you do like Google it, you'll notice that the overlay, like the compositing itself, is like very low quality.
mm-hmm.
So the dragons look blurry and out of place. They don't look lit into the scene. They
Oh,
look like they're made with a PlayStation, not.
right,
Nice.
right.
But it's just a budget. I like to say that I think, and I don't know if you guys agree with me, I think we're going through a huge slump in the CGI world when it comes to movies and shows. And I think it's just corporate greed. Like, they're just pushing everybody to move too fast.
100%.
Yeah.
And so, like, Marvel's looking worse.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You name it.
Wonder
Game of
Woman.
Thrones stuff.
Wonder
and
Woman.
the thing,
Go
yeah,
watch Wonder
and,
Woman.
like,
I'm sorry
these-
because I probably know somebody that worked on it. I'm sorry, but
but these studios, like, it's like the corporations like Disney and stuff don't have, they have deadlines. They don't
Yeah.
have, they don't understand what it takes in order to get some of this stuff done, and they're just like, we'll just, here's our budget, you have to work within that, and you have to hire more people.
Yeah.
Oh, but you can't hire more people, so you just need to kill yourself in order to, basically hit these budgets.
Right.
And so, you're gonna it's gonna, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Age of Ultron, which I liked Age of Ultron. I like the whatever up until Endgame. Then I don't care about it. I haven't watched barely any of them, right? And so but Age of Ultron, when I saw it in the theater, I was like, everything's so dark. It's so dark.
Mm.
It's like, are you just covering up mistakes? Or was that a personal choice and stuff like that? I don't know.
You know a movie that blew my mind? Did you guys see the first Aquaman?
I didn't see it. No.
I saw clips of it in and out. I haven't sat through the whole thing.
I don't do
So-
DC movies. Sorry.
I didn't, but then I had to watch that one for
Mhm.
personal reasons,
The hair, like, how did they do all the hair?
Mhm.
You know?
The sheer amount of CGI in that movie is unlike anything I've ever seen. When you think, okay, that must be enough, we've already seen all the characters that a studio can make. They roll in with like 4 more full CGI worlds that are totally disconnected from each other, with like 4 more entire like societies of CGI creatures that are all disconnected from each other,
Mhm.
and they just keep adding and adding. I've never seen even more than Avatar. You know how they made an entire alien world?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
the Aquaman one, literally like is like 12 times that.
Mhm.
And I'm like, how do they do it? Like, do they just have no idea what it takes to make CGI? Like,
Yeah.
are they outsourcing to everybody in the
Right.
industry? Like, what's
Right.
going on?
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell, there are some movies that are just, and you know what the conversations were. Like, you'll see these shots and you're like, you know what the conversations were. We need this
Yeah.
done in 2 days. What can you do for X amount of money? Just like when clients come to you and say,
You
I
make
have one
Legolas
day.
look like he actually jumped on this horse.
Yeah, or they ask you, what they can get, 3D for $500, and you just,
Right.
you make a cube, you draw a cube.
Right.
This is what you get. It's just a lack of understanding that I'm sure a lot of people see, no matter if it's an explainer video or if it's a sculpt or if it's something more advanced. Like, oh, we need a realistic looking house. Okay, well, what's your budget? 1 day rate. Oh, okay. I could buy a
Yeah.
model of a house for $500 if I'm lucky.
Right.
But yeah, that definitely shows. You're right. Like, it's like we want CG, but we don't want to spend money on it.
Mhm.
So either it's going to look bad, or somebody's really going to work really hard on something and get screwed on payment. You know.
Yeah, it's crazy how often companies shut down after releasing huge projects like that,
Right.
like Sonic the Hedgehog, Life
Yeah.
of Pi, things
Yeah.
like that.
Mhm. Life of Pi,
Life of
100%.
Pi.
Classic one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's sad. I hope that changes. It's just like with NFTs, despite all the rabble about NFTs, like there was some sort of like level of respect for art that came out of it, I feel like,
Yeah.
for digital art. And I just wish that respect would be, taken into consideration when hiring an artist to do something, and not every project being an afterthought. Because sometimes I feel like every project I do is rushed. Every project I do is an afterthought, and that can be frustrating.
Yep.
All right, so the next one on the list, your favorite music.
So I have extremely eclectic tastes. I'll listen to any genre at all. What I like is like unexpected melodies that aren't generic. So whatever my
Okay.
brain decides that it is, then I like it.
All right.
Like jazz?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the actual song itself. So my very favorite song of all time is called Elephant Gun by a band called Beirut,
Okay.
All right.
like
know
the city
Beirut.
Beirut. Yeah,
Mhm.
I really like that.
What kind of music is that? I don't know if I've heard of that.
It's like old timey, like I don't know. I'm not good at genres.
I'm looking it up.
And do you listen to this music while you're working?
It's
Or
like
you-
kind of folksy, a little bit.
Folksy,
Okay.
Yeah.
indie, baroque pop,
Mhm.
Balkan
Alright.
folk.
Yeah.
Everything that Pandora classifies everything like that as.
Right.
So, because some people, just want silence when they're working. I didn't know if there's anything in particular that's like gets you in the zone when you're sculpting, or if it's just generic. Because I feel like I have different tastes depending on if I'm working or not.
Oh yeah. First of all, never silence. That's how the dark thoughts start to set in.
Yeah,
So I need to distract myself from that.
and keep out
So-
imposter syndrome, and yeah.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
funny.
So whenever I'm doing something that requires any sort of like language faculties in my brain, so that's like writing, management, trying to fix a problem sometimes, and I'm like having to use like thoughts that have language in them. I can't listen to anything with lyrics.
Yeah.
So it's got to be instrumental. But if I'm just doing like ZBrush, I stop thinking in language and just start thinking in shapes and colors. So then I can even watch a show if I want to. Like
Right.
I watched The Office. That was my go-to working show.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it 14 times back to back,
Jeez.
all seasons. Because it's just funny. It's like I don't need to look at the screen like with my
Yeah.
eyes. What's
You're
going
catching
on.
up with me on that.
Dave has seen the Dundies episode at least 150
Oh,
times.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Which one? There's so many.
Have you watched the extended versions?
No, never.
Oh my goodness.
Didn't know that was a thing.
Peacock has extended versions of these shows, and it's not necessarily bad stuff. It's just like stuff that they couldn't fit time wise, so it's actually funny. But these episodes, they've done 5 seasons now of this. Some of the episodes are 45, 50 minutes long. Of extra stuff, and you learn all of this kind of like these other little stories that were going on that you got parts of before, but you just didn't understand the full story. It's really good. If you're an Office fan, I definitely recommend it.
I can't believe I'm gonna let you make me buy another subscription service.
Right? I know.
Because I
know.
stopped watching The Office after it left Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the only thing that got me to buy it, the Peacock subscription. I don't watch anything else on there. I just pay my $9.99 a month in order to have access to The Office.
That's funny.
I
But
can't believe I'm gonna be productive again. I've definitely tanked ever since.
so, do you listen to podcasts because you are kind of like sometimes in the zone where you're able to do something like that, or?
I listen to podcasts if I'm driving or like
Okay.
outside. I almost never put on a podcast when I'm working. Weirdly, just because I struggle with finding one that interests me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So like a podcast has to like roll around my social media or something like that with just the right name, and then I'll listen to it no matter who made it, you know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Except for this one guy who does this podcast on like side hustles,
Okay.
and
Oh.
he just interviews people with successful side hustles, and I'm like, okay, I listen to that guy relatively often. I don't remember
You know
his
who that
name.
is? Oh, okay.
It's not Gary
It's
V.
called it's called the side. No, not Gary Vee. Although I used to like Gary Vee.
I feel
It's
the
just called
same
the
way.
Side Hustle podcast. The Side Hustle
Side
Show
Hustle Show.
by Nick Loper.
All right. I haven't heard of
Okay.
it. I'm gonna
Alright,
check
it's
that
cool.
out.
It's because yeah, I have like a membership program, and he made an episode with some people who also had a membership program, and they were rocking it, and I was like, dang, how do I get there? You know, yeah, they were making a lot of money, which I guess people on these podcasts always are if they made it across my table.
Yeah, what's up with that? Where's our money?
Yeah, where is it? It's all going into Camp Mograph so
I
that
guess
everyone
so.
else can enjoy stuff.
That's right. What would be your favorite plugin? Not a render engine. Render engines don't count.
Mm-hmm.
Plugin.
Mhm.
I'm gonna tell you, I normally work with all my software in like total vanilla mode.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even change the UIs. I keep it always the same. For some reason, my brain just keeps going to this one plugin my student made for
Mhm.
Unreal that like she used Python, and it would like fix up all of the bad naming conventions and stuff like that.
There you
Like
go.
Nice.
I don't use it, but since she made it and it works so well, it's my favorite, I think.
There you
There you
go.
go.
What about app? If
I-
you're on your phone, like what is your muscle memory app? Like you always
really
click
don't
on
wanna
it.
say TikTok.
Oh,
It's
Tik-
TikTok,
It's
isn't it?
TikTok.
I wish I could
It's
say
so
TikTok,
good.
but it's too good.
It is.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
But I'll
is.
tell you something, like since you have full control over the algorithm, you can have the best feed of like educational content
Mm-hmm.
and motivational content ever. Like I used it like that.
Yeah.
I started watching TikTok when I was trying to like lose a bunch of weight, and so like it was just like recipes and things like that, you know. Then eventually I moved on to like more motivational stuff, like how to grow on social media, how to have your own YouTube channel and run
Mhm.
your business and things like that. And people will come on there, just spew out some like 30 seconds of wisdom, and you're like, oh my god, that's actually
Yeah.
good. Then I open up my
Save.
Evernote,
Yeah.
and I'll be like, write that down, you know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
remember this one. So like it's wonderful. So it's not just like trash and kids dancing like everybody thinks it is.
Oh, but I love the trash. The trash is so good.
I have my
Like,
burner account and I send my stuff that I like to the burner account, and then I open the burner account and I have a list of all the things that I want to, that I
That's
save.
funny. That's smart.
Yeah.
I made a burner accounts because sometimes people would try to insult me on my videos, and I want to say something, but I can't because I'm professional. So I would go on the other account.
That's funny.
Oh, I do that all the time. You got to have a troll account, right?
Oh man. And then Dave sometimes forgets he's not on the troll account and will say something on the official Mograph account, and I'm like, dude, you gotta stop.
Oh, that was only like twice.
Yeah, all right.
It was like, what was it? A lot of them are about CG. I will comment on CG
Yeah.
stuff and say,
Yes, you will.
that's
Yeah.
fake, that's fake, that's
Right.
CG. And then people ask, and it's like, well, how do you know? And I'm like, well, why don't you check out my account and watch a bunch of videos and find out why, Okay, we got 2 more questions. This one should be interesting. Favorite video game?
Witcher 3.
Witcher
The
3.
Witcher
Witcher
3.
3.
Yeah.
All right.
Have you watched the Witcher series on Netflix?
Yes. So I watched the whole first season and a little bit of the second, but I never made it through the second
Okay.
one.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And what
I
about...
didn't watch. I watched the half of the first episode. I knew nothing about the video game, so
Yeah, see, I don't know
had
anything
no
about
interest.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not beginner friendly due to like the whole like skipping ahead in time and not telling you thing.
Spoilers.
No, I mean like the whole episode was like, it was almost like past, present, and future,
Oh,
just
right,
all
right.
together, just one after the other in different orders like that.
Gotcha.
and you had no idea which one was which. Not even
Okay.
people who like read the books probably had a little bit of whoa, like, you know.
Right.
So that probably was a mistake on their end. But the game is a different vibe. Like, it's got so many super beautiful creatures that are different, you know, like colorful, different landscapes. And I honestly, if you give me good creatures, I'll like your game normally. You know, everything was just so beautiful, and the stories are just insane. Like the quests, I would like to meet whoever wrote those and like be like, what? So are you normal? Like do you wake up? Like, what's going on? Like, I love them. They're weird and unexpected, you know. And so yeah, I love that game. So good.
All right, last question, because I know you gotta get rolling. And this is a tough one, so you may have to think about it for a second. And this is your favorite life hack. Now, this can be something funny. It could be something, you know, useful. It could be
Work-related,
productivity. You know, one of the examples we give
Something
is
you saw on TikTok that you're
Yeah,
like, oh,
exactly.
that's the best thing that I've ever come across.
Mitch Myers says turn the toaster on its side for some bomb ass grilled cheese. So,
Nice.
and I have one. Well, I have the one I talked about before, the gas station hack. That's the time to clean out your car when you're that time that seems to take forever when you're filling up at the pump. It's only 5 minutes, but it feels like an eternity. Go clean out your car. You know, easy life hack, but something you don't think of.
Mine is clean from the top down and throw all the dust and stuff onto the floor and then sweep it all up.
I also have a hack when you open a new bottle of pills. They kind of have the or sometimes like food supplies that have like the foil seal on the top of it. You take your knuckle, right, and you push the knuckle down into it, and it just pushes a hole right into it because it's foil, instead of trying to sit there and like peel it off. See, all those little things. It'll save you like 5 seconds.
See, I have trouble defining what a life hack is versus something I just do that's weird, because I do a ton of weird stuff like that.
Well, tell
Let's
us
hear
the
some of
weird stuff.
And
Yeah.
my husband's like, I can't believe you do it like that. And I'm like, you just gotta think outside the box, man. Like,
There you
what?
go.
think
Let's
outside
hear
the
it.
box.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sometimes you do stuff that you don't even realize, you know? Like, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, there's so many things that you don't think of. Hey, kitty. Hey, meow, meow. Like, for example, this is so random, but the other day I'm like, well, when people get out of the shower, they dry themselves off, right? I have a
hope.
certain way that I dry myself off, right? I'm like, I bet everybody has a certain order. Like, do you do your hair first, your shoulder? You know what I mean? Like, I was like, you know,
I always
people
use
have a
2
routine.
towels, one for
Use
the
2.
waist, and then one. Amy calls it my cape.
See, you never think about it, right? Like,
But the thing is, she's bought me a robe. It's basically like a towel robe. She's bought me a robe, and I hate robes. I think they just don't feel good, right? I like my cape and I like my toga around the waist.
yeah.
That's how I dry off.
Something I did that I've always done and I never really thought about is you know, like if the baby's sleeping, the kitchen's really loud, like we'll wake her up, right? So I was just trying to be quiet, and I always push in the little button on the microwave door and hold the thing at the same time, so, like slowly, so that you can open it or push it in and then shut the door quietly and then release the button. And Julie
you
was
can
like,
turn
I
the
never thought
noise
about
mode
that before.
off.
What?
You can turn the noise mode off.
I'm talking about just slamming the thing shut.
Oh,
You hold
okay.
the button down so that it
Gotcha.
closes
Gotcha.
silently, and then you
Right.
let go of the button. She's like, I never thought about
Gotcha.
that before. Yeah. What weird things do you do?
All my life hacks are like weirdly abrasive.
Let's-
So like if somebody ever makes a rude comment or a joke to you and you want to embarrass them, you should ask them to explain it.
Oh,
yes. Yes. Yeah.
I do it all
love
the
that.
time, guys.
I don't get it.
Nobody
get
can
what-
get anything past me. Just play dumb, like hoo hoo hoo. can you explain that? I don't understand.
I don't
Mhm.
I don't
You
get
know?
it. Yeah. All right. No,
And
that's
then they
good.
have to explain that they are like a racist or something.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, that's when that
uh,
second social media account comes in handy, right?
Second one, yeah. Oh, yeah. If you ever want to see some drama, check out my TikToks. Like, just look at the
Okay.
comments. You'll see.
All right.
Especially one sponsored by Nvidia. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh boy.
All right. All right.
Okay. Next, I have that I can't live a full productive life and be super happy unless I avoid drama at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
And I consider a lot of things to be drama. Like, I'm very low tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just disappear. Like, I'll disappear for months on end and you won't see me. And, you know, I'll be working on my stuff, you know?
I like that.
Because, yeah. And I don't want drama ever. So
Maybe I should
Mhm.
disappear.
I do that all the time. And, like, you know, it's negativity. Like, I have two options. I can be at home. Like, let's say I have like a tough day at work, whatever job I might be doing or something. I had a bad meeting.
Mhm.
I can go home and like think about whatever happened. I just think about it and I think about it and I
Mhm.
stew and I get mad and I like or feel sad or something. Or I can just have avoided the situation altogether, get home and be like, oh, today's such a lovely day. I think I'm gonna do some work and be productive, make
Mhm.
some money. Hooray!
Mhm.
You know. So,
90% of the time, I'm really good at separating work from regular life. Like, I try to basically never think about work when I'm not in front of my desk, you know?
Oh man, that's all I'm ever doing.
Yeah.
I
It
can't
feels like that's
help
all
it.
I'm ever doing too. Like
Mm.
honestly, because I still dual careers, so
Mm-hmm.
I get home and I go back to the same computer and I do my work, slightly different tasks, you know.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to the line is very blurry,
Yeah.
I'd say in my life.
Kevin had a quick question here before we go. Besides the fact that he said Game of Thrones is pretty good, but Breaking Bad is the best show he's ever seen, except for maybe The
Oh,
Wire.
he's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
he's right.
His question is, do you recommend using a drawing glove with a tablet?
I don't, but that's because I'm just super low maintenance. Like I think
Is that
you know,
posh? Is that like
it looks cute. Like you know.
get like a Michael Jackson glove?
Yeah,
With
I'm just super low
rhinestones.
maintenance.
Yeah.
But it does leave little smudges on my tablet, like from my hand.
Mm,
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
think that's partially what people are avoiding, like also more slipperiness, I guess, with the glove.
right.
Mhm.
So, yeah, like, do I recommend it? Yeah, try it. I mean,
Yeah.
those are cheap. If you don't like it, then you take it off.
Yeah. Without
Mine's
the
just always
rhinestones.
laying around here somewhere. You know.
Yeah. They're all it's gimmicky. It's
Mhm.
kind of gimmicky unless
like a
it
club,
really
though.
yeah. Well, kind of like tablets as well. I think a lot of people look at tablets that way. Ooh, you're in the yeah.
Kevin
There's
said,
something
well,
to
if
be
it
said
looks
about
cute, I'm ordering one now.
Yeah.
There's something about like rituals though. Like if it's part of your ritual and puts you in the mindset to like put that glove on, like now I'm in business
Right.
mode.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like
I get that.
could be a thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But you're not going to go golfing without putting on your golf glove, right?
Obviously,
You know?
you're not a golfer.
Obviously.
All right. Well, we know we're approaching your heart out here, so we're we're gonna wrap it up. But we really appreciate you being on, taking the time to
Mhm.
chill with the two of us in the middle of a work day. And if people want to find you online, where's the best place to get a hold of you? Your main account, not your burner account.
I have the same username on everything, so it's
Mhm.
like dealer's choice. It's Anna Carolina _art on everything.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, you name it. It's got
Cool.
the same name.
I need to
All right.
find you on TikTok. I don't know if I've seen you on TikTok yet. I need to be following you for sure.
I haven't put out new content in a while.
That's all right. Neither have I.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Like ever since
I-
social media changed it into videos only,
Mhm.
it's like so much work.
I know.
I got so burned from people attacking me on Twitter that I completely I don't post on social media anymore.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Yeah,
like putting
you
myself
must have
out
done
there.
something really bad, Matt.
No, I didn't do anything. I mean,
I
I
know.
don't think I did.
Yeah.
Not on purpose, at least.
Right.
I got canceled, so there you go.
You did? You didn't
Yep,
get
I was
canceled.
No, I didn't get canceled.
I was gonna say.
Huh.
Cool. All right. Well, we're gonna get out of here. You can rate us on iTunes, leave a review on your podcatcher of choice. Helps get our ratings up. You can subscribe and check out our newsletter. It doesn't go out that often anymore, but it does sometimes. So you get all the info there. You can say you've been there, done that, got the T-shirt with the Mograph logo tee, the Paul Babb Feel the Bab 2020 shirt. All the profits from that go to Doctors Without Borders.
Vintage.
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 Render Things T-shirt, hoodie, and long sleeve tee. That's the popular one there. The Mograph Blandishment shirt. And of course, That Render is Fire shirt, which you're only allowed to wear ironically. Unless you're shams. We're going to be seeing Shams in a couple weeks, too. I can't wait to see everybody.
We will.
That's going to be fun.
I can't wait to see Sage.
Sage.
I haven't seen him in
oh my
years.
gosh. Yes.
Dude.
Yep. If you don't know Sage, go meet Sage. He's great. And we're on YouTube, mograph.com. Check there for the schedule, the lineups, and all of the things. Again, we will not have a show because it's a holiday here in the States next Monday. So if you are in America and you're having a little Labor Day, enjoy. And that about wraps it up. Until next time, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
And I'm Anna Carolina.
Have a good one.
Later, yo.
All right, stand by 1 second here. Close it off here.